Hi guys, thank you so much for joining me here on the Baseline. Hope everybody's having a great day, great night, great life. So, I don't know if you can feel this or not, but every time another headline flashes across your screen, something like America divided or political violence is rising, the left, they're out of control, the right, they're under attack. And it makes your pulse tighten because deep down, you know someone's lying about who's actually violent. Now, I'm not a Democrat or Republican or left or right. You know, I'm not part of a team. Sometimes I think they're all bought and paid for by the same people. But the hypocrisy is staggering for this narrative, right? Because for years, politicians have screamed about law and order. They called Portland a war zone. They called protesters terrorists. They threatened to use the Insurrection Act like it's some kind of magic spell to save civilization. But here's the truth no one really wants to say on cable news or mainstream media, right? No one wants to admit this stuff. But many of those so-called law and order states are actually, believe it or not, more violent than the blue ones they condemn. So for instance, we have Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, all deeply red, all among the highest murders, gun deaths, and domestic violence in the country. Now, meanwhile, California, the state they love to call crime-ridden, has one of the lowest gun death rates in the United States. Go figure what happens when you fact check some things. But this is why, the question becomes, why is nobody sending the National Guard to Baton Rouge? Because law and order isn't about safety anymore. It seems to be more about control. Because when politicians talk about violence, they're not talking about numbers or actual facts that you can look up. They're talking about who gets to define the actual chaos. Now, if a right-wing protest spirals into a riot, it's called defending freedom. And if a left-wing protest breaks a window, it's called the insurrection. And it's a weird double standard, right? It's not just hypocrisy. It's a kind of a strategy. Invent an enemy so no one looks at who's really behind the curtain, who's really holding the leash. Now, according to the FBI's 2024 report, violent crime in America actually fell about 5%. Murders dropped almost 15%. But fear gets clicks, and clicks, man, those get votes. And when you zoom in on the political violence, the numbers get even sharper. So the Center for Strategic and International Studies found that right-wing extremist actors have carried out the majority of politically motivated killings for over 20 years. Now, left-wing incidents are rising, yes. Can't take that off the table. But they are far less lethal. Now, 2025 is the first year left-wing incidents count slightly outnumber the right-wing ones, right? But the body count still dominated by the far right. Now, the headlines flipped, right? The deaths didn't, though. So why are we more terrified of slogans than the actual facts and numbers? Well, unfortunately, fear is so profitable. I mean, cable news doesn't want nuance. They want the heat. Because the algorithm doesn't reward accuracy. It rewards the outrage, the emotion. And the politicians, they just follow the metrics. So watch how narratives move online. It's like a magician's sleight of hand. They show you the street fight in Portland, not the church shooting in Tennessee. They call a protest chaos, but a militia standoff is a weird form of patriotism. Now, they spin words like mob and Antifa until half the country forgets that the deadliest acts of domestic terror in recent history weren't by immigrants or protesters. They were by Americans radicalized by ideology. For instance, Oklahoma City, Charleston, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, different years, same pattern, same silence. And this is where things get so absurd. And this is the absurd part. The same leaders screaming blue cities are burning are often running states with the worst crime in the nation. It's like a firefighter setting their own house on fire, then yelling about the smoke next door. But this isn't red versus blue anymore. It can't be like that if the country's going to survive, right? It's power versus truth. Every generation, elites use fear of the other to keep control. In the 1950s, it was the communists. In the 1980s, it was crack cocaine. In the 2000s, it was the terrorists. And now it's each other. White against black, gay against straight, Jews, Muslims, and Christians fighting, Because if they can convince you that your neighbor's the threat, you'll never look up to see who's writing the laws or signing the actual contracts. So if political violence is truly a national emergency, why do we only talk about it when it's convenient? And that is a problem. Now, when an immigrant commits a crime, it's headline news. When a white supremacist, a network, plots an attack, it's under investigation. If we care, if we really genuinely care about safety of each other, our children, consistency has to matter somewhere in this. Because you can't call for the Insurrection Act in Portland, Oregon, and shrug at armed militias outside polling stations in Arizona. This isn't just policy hypocrisy. It's a form of moral hypocrisy. A great activist, James Baldwin, once said, "Ignorance allied with power is the most ferocious enemy justice can have." He didn't say left or right. He said ignorance and power. And that's what we're fighting. Because what's rotting our democracy isn't that one side's angry. It's that both sides are being manipulated by fear factories that profit from division. Now, every viral clip of chaos earns some ad revenue. Just business, it's life, I don't know what you want to call it. But every headline about civil war sells the illusion of collapse. They're monetizing our panic, our fear. And even as violent crime drops, trust in democracy keeps collapsing because fear doesn't need facts. It just needs repetition. So, what's the truth about political violence? It's not them. It's not us. It's the system that keeps both sides too angry to notice that we're being played. Right wing, left wing, it doesn't matter. Extremists has a business model. And the more we argue about which team is worse, the more someone else cashes the checks. So the antidote cannot be silence. It has to be discernment. We have to ask ourselves, who benefits from this headline? Who gains power when we're all afraid? And who profits when we're divided? Because once you see that pattern, you'll never be able to unsee it. It's like taking that blue pill. And that's what makes truth dangerous. Not the data, but the awakening that it actually triggers. So here's the challenge, right? Next time a politician or a pundit tells you they're the violent ones, ask them for a spreadsheet and fact check them, for goodness sake, because all they have are slogans. The numbers at the end of the day, they don't care about party lines. They just tell the story of who we've become, all of us, and who we still could potentially be. Now, as the activist I mentioned, James Baldwin reminded us, we made the world we're living in, and we have to make it over. So the only question is this: do we make it over with truth, or let fear keep rewriting this script? Because you already know what's coming, guys. And it's not the best stuff, right? All right. Let me know what you guys think. Do I have this all right? Do I have it all wrong? Put your comment in the section below. I value your opinion, and I read and reply to all the comments. So thank you so much again for watching, and we'll catch you on the next round of the Baseline. All right. Cheers, everybody.